as an investment type of vehicle, in my opinion, it's not a thing. You shouldn't really, I've seen the ups and downs of all kinds of different spaces, and being able to, if you are involved in that, you better have a good eye.
I found a stack of records in my attic today, an Elvis picture disc and Kenny's big old hay. Put 'em up on eBay for the day was done. Watch the bids roll in till the morning sun.
Welcome everyone to the channel. Welcome to the show. Today's the Tuesday What Sold video, so we'll look at some cool, unique items that sold. Eyeglasses, everything's kind of longo. Everything's hot too. We're in the mid 80s, so we're still in a heat watch around where we live. Like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. Am I recording? Yes, I am. Just want to make sure I have the update. Of course, it's not on the computer. Everything needed to update right now, so I had to take care of that really quick. We was over at Whole Foods. We typically do our grocery shopping. It's got some water with me right now, but they had a bourbon tasting, whiskey tasting there, promoting a new brand here. It's called Off Hours. We'll go ahead and test that out. I was gonna get some talking points as well too. Let's talk a little bit about card collecting in general, and then today I saw a video on Kevin O'Leary, who's the Shark Tank guy, Mr. Wonderful as he's known. And he went in with a group of him and two other people, and they spent $13 million on a card. It's crazy. But we'll talk a little bit about that and the card collecting. I already plan on talk about collecting, or not really collecting, but the investment aspect of it. And I got some cool things to show you. So let's start off with the bourbon really quick. So I know I haven't done a bourbon review in a while, and I used to do those in that little podcast that I kind of cut off. But this is it right here: bourbon off hours. Speaking of cut off, their little label looks cut off there. Bourbon off hours whiskey, and they are from Indiana. And once you think of Indiana and you think whiskey, automatically think MGP, which this is an MGP, and they're called Off Hour Spirits out of Bloomington, Indiana. So, I've already tried it, and I'm going to try it again right now. So, the reason why is when I tried it, it didn't taste anything like a bourbon. It really didn't taste like a bourbon. It tasted like an American whiskey, an American rye forward whiskey. Now, the mash bill, I've talked about this before. The mash bill is, what kind of grains they use in it. Now, for a bourbon, I don't know what the mash bill is on this. They didn't say. But bourbon, let me show you. So, in order to be considered a bourbon, the mash bill has to be at least 51% corn, and then a mixture of rye and wheat and or malted barley. With the precise percentages varying by distillery but 51% corn. There's a few other things too as well, like how long you put it, you have to age it in the barrels and all that. A few other things, but that's the mash bill. And when I sipped this for the first time, I got very, very heavy rye. Now, that's not typical of a bourbon. Not typical of a bourbon at all. Bourbon is very, very hit big with that I've talked about this many times. Big cherry, a punch of cherry usually just comes right out, right at the beginning, right out of the gate. There's cherry with some smoke. This right here just got hit with that spicy, woody flavor that, rye whiskeys bring. And it could be 51%, 51%, what do you call it? Corn. And then, then the rye could probably be really high as well too. Maybe it could be 40%, 30%. But the taste on this tasted more like it was not a bourbon. basically it tasted like not a bourbon. It tasted more like a rye whiskey or in order to be called a rye, it has to be over 50% rye. I think either 50 or over 50, then you can call it a rye whiskey. There are a few that are 100% rye, and those are pretty good. I tend to like the rye, only because it reminds me of campfire. And yeah, I did a lot of camping when I was younger. And a lot of camping, a lot of backpacking. And so, what do? You start a fire. It always reminds me of that. Always good times with friends, being out there in the wilderness and, you know, just enjoying your time out there. How did they? Oh, there it goes. Okay. I was going to say it is cut already, like perforated. Come on. Okay. I like the simplicity of the bottle and the label. That's pretty cool. It does look like an artificial cork. Does it look like real? Is it real cork? Yeah, that's not real cork. When I was tasting it, I really didn't. It was poured just in a little shot glass, and so I really didn't get too many um notes or just no nosing of the whiskey. So I got a little bit more proper glass there for that. Let's go ahead and give it a pour. Yeah. And close that off. Just let it breathe a little bit. Get it a little aerated there. Definitely the color we're looking for. That's the color we're looking for right there. That's the color of a bourbon, American whiskeys. The color of most whiskeys, I should say. Your Irish whiskeys tend to be a lot lighter. There are some Scotch whiskeys that are light, some, Japanese whiskeys that are pretty light. But I would say most American whiskeys will fall right in that category right there. I'm waiting for for Costco to get the bottle of the Bricklottie. They're pretty low. Like right now, they're not getting too much in at this moment, but as we get closer to the end of the year, they should start to get more and more whiskeys in. And it's pretty. There's not much out. There's not much there. It's the typical, usual stuff that they always keep in stock all the time. But I'm looking for some more, unique. If they have another Willet, I might pick up a Willet. It's really cool. The bottle looks uh like a still. It's pretty cool. But I would like another Bricklottie Gelati. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, that's a really good whiskey. And let's see what other kind of releases they have. It smells like an American whiskey. Smells like a bourbon. Although there are some woody notes in there that really give off that rye. And MGP, they make all kinds of different ones. They do bourbons, they do American whiskeys, they do rye whiskeys. If you really want a good sample of MGP, I have a small bottle of it. I think it's High West. If I remember correctly, they have most of their, if I'm not mistaken, most of their whiskey is MGP, and they have a big variety of different expressions. Definitely woody, definitely more of a woody. So when it comes to bourbon, for me at least, yes, I do pick up on the wood, but the wood is a lot stronger with this one. The wood when I'm nosing a bourbon, it's there, but it's not as pronounced. Like I said, it's that cherry flavor, that cherry soda that just comes right out. This really just smells like a heavy, heavy rye whiskey, which is good. It's nothing bad. I just don't think, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like 40 something percent rye. So eh, it's a good whiskey. And I would expect nothing less from MGP. I would expect nothing less than a good whiskey from MGP. Very spicy, so very rye forward. I'm not getting the cherry in this really at all. It's not really there, which is so unusual to me. And then the reason why I bought it after I tasted it, I was like, "It's so unusual." It I don't I'm not getting bourbon. I'm not getting bourbon out of this. It's very, very odd. Um, I don't know. And there is sweetness there. I'm just not picking up on cherry sweetness. Very spicy, very smoky, very woody. Just a classic rye American whiskey to me is what I'm picking up on. I do have a little bit of water. I'm put a little bit of water in there and just hopefully I don't. Just a tad. You don't need too much because you don't want to water it down. You just kind of want to, bring out any other flavors or any other notes, tasty notes out of it. Um, just a little bit in there. We'll let it sit for just a little bit. Picked up a few things this weekend. What did I do? Oh, this is really, really cool. So this is by a company or a brand. I'm not sure if they're owned by anybody else, but either way, the company is Gyration is the company, and they made these mice pretty much that were basically more for home entertainment systems, computers, kind of in the beginning of when computers were first starting to find their way into the living room. And basically, you would use it. It had a built-in gyroscope, and you'd be able to control your mouse just in the air. Basically, is what you'd be able to do. It wasn't very precise. You're pretty much just using it for normal mousing around the computer screen. You really weren't using it for any gaming or anything like that. But this is just like their mobile version, more their presentation type variant. So you could still use it like this and use the motion. It was a little tricky. Wasn't very, very the other ones, at least the ones that I used to have were larger. So it was more like a, holding your hand, more like a trigger, more like an actual controller, like a game controller, similar to a game controller. But yeah, not the best. They were really, really good. I really liked it. They're good quality product, but it wasn't the best. And I found this one here over at Savers, and it's brand new, sealed, and everything like that. And so hoping to get like 60 bucks or so for this because it's brand new, sealed. Used more like around 15 to $20, but pretty cool. Pretty unique, very, very niche. There was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the company was Razer that came out with it, but it was an actual mouse that you could control. They promoted it as being controlled with brainwaves, but I could never get it to work right. I would get it to work, but you had to attach this band to your head and everything, and had all these wires, and you plug it into your computer normally through USB, and you make like weird like head motions. And you can get the mouse to move. It's sitting through brainwaves, but I don't think it was brainwaves really, and it was very, very much a very niche product. It really, I couldn't get it to work right. It wasn't like again, another product that was not for gaming or anything like that. It was just for normal day-to-day use. If then you have this band around your head. And I remember I had created like, with pressure points. So there was little red spots, and it very, very unique. I haven't come across one of those in a long time. I used to have it. I bought all those weird things from Fry's, typically. Fry's and Central Computer. There was a Micro Center in our area, but they closed it a long time ago. And at that time, Micro Center was not the place to go for computer stuff. It was way overpriced, and they never had anything good. It was always Fry's or Central Computer in our area. And so I was always, I was always there. I was there all the time, basically. It was a part of, part of my weekend routine in between working out and, especially during the summer. If I wasn't doing anything, I would be, at the computer store, or if I wasn't working that day, I'd go over to the computer store and just check out what they got, new parts, especially when there's any new releases or anything like that too. But yeah, some little niche stuff. And nowadays, you really don't see this niche stuff anymore. Everything's pretty much, you got your gaming keyboards, your mice. Oh, I picked this up at Savers, which I'm using right now. I'm testing it right now. It's similar to the ones I like, the design I like. I'm not familiar with this company. This isn't the company that I had mentioned several videos ago that were actually remaking this design, and apparently it's a good high quality. I would like to get my hands on that. It's a good high quality, very like the Microsoft one over here, which it's wired, so I'm not gonna be able to pull it out and show you. I've showed it before. It looks similar to this, but the only issue with this one here is this. Again, there's just minor details here, and us people that are obsessed with computer things and peripherals, it's nagging at me. Is this right here is just a little bit too high. It really is, and it's just this little piece for this right here and it's right in this area too. It's just enough for me to kind of be like, do I like it? Do I want to continue using it? I'm not sure. I like the feel of it. It's definitely nice and accurate. I like the feel of the buttons on the side. And that's the one. Oh, this is the wireless Logitech one, which I also do like. The only issue is with this one. This is the right click button, and the left click is right here where your thumb address, and then your forward and backwards button, and then it has the this one right here. But the Microsoft variant looks very similar to this. And I believe this is probably a replica of that. I really like having the left clicker and the right clicker here with the thumb, and then the scroll wheel right here. I really do like that. Microsoft never did come out with a wireless variant of theirs. It was always wired. Logitech did, as you saw there. There's another Logitech that kind of looks like this too, but it's an older variant, so it doesn't have all the features. And then I really like having the back and forward button here. And I like these buttons. They're very soft. A very soft feel to them, especially as you're pressing it. It's a nice light. I don't know if you can hear that. These ones over here are a little bit more like the Microsoft one. All them are a little bit more. I don't know. I like the softness of this one, and I like the feel of the plastic on this. The only thing I don't like is this right here. This extra, trust me, it makes a difference to me at least. But it's a really cool mouse. I really do like it, and I'm trying to see if I can, like it. It's the word I'm looking for. I found these with a bunch of jewelry. It's actually a bunch of cubic zirconium. It's actually fairly heavy, surprisingly. But just a bunch of cubic zirconium, I guess, for projects or anything like that. Really cool. I mean, it looks like diamond. It could be, It reminded me of not the TV show, but the movie of the old Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. I believe I'm pronouncing that name right. And in the movie was the Trial of the Hulk. And it was actually Hulk and Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, who played Kingpin. Well, who was Kingpin. But and in the beginning, one of the opening sequences, Kingpin has his crew going out to steal diamonds from a bank vaults, and they were just pouring like diamonds into bags and stuff like that. So that kind of reminded me of right there. Really good movie. I really liked that one. It was when I was a kid, so probably why I really liked it. It was Incredible Hulk. It looked cool. Daredevil was in it, so it was cool. Oh, let's try I put the water in there. Let's see what happened here. Still the same on the nose. Yeah. Maple syrup. Right when it hit my tongue and my lip, right when I started tasting it, boom, maple syrup. Maple syrup, woody. Definitely tamed the smoke down a little bit. The wood's a little bit stronger. But yeah, I just get maple syrup now. I'm getting maple syrup and wood. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm very curious. I'm very curious to know what the actual makeup is of this whiskey. To me, I'm gonna say to me, it's not a bourbon. It's not a bourbon to me. It doesn't taste anything like a bourbon. It's a rye whiskey, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at that. I like it. It's good. It's a good whiskey. Okay. Um, then we also picked up this mug. On to moving on now. We picked up this really cool mug. It's a Starbucks mug, but I mean, it's just really cool. It's not worth it, surprisingly. You would think it might be worth it, especially with Halloween coming up. Maybe $10. We paid $5.79 over at Goodwill. But we're gonna keep it anyway. Just I mean, I knew it wasn't gonna be worth it, like most Starbucks mugs aren't. But just I mean, it's just fun. Just a cool, fun little mug. I never even saw this when Starbucks did have it. 2000 and oh, it's an oldie, 2007. So this is a 2007 mug. I don't think I was really no, I wasn't paying attention. 2007, I was not paying attention to what the mugs or anything like that in Starbucks. I was still snowboarding, still doing all my, snowboarding, camping, hiking, paintballing. Oh, paintballing was so fun. Paintballing was I don't know if it's a thing anymore. I don't know if people still paintball or not. But man, that was so fun. And we have a regular spot over in Walnut Creek, California, and the play we would go to Mount Diablo, and it was basically just the side of a mountain. It was really, really cool. We love the outdoor ones. We would do like the tournament style with big blow ups and everything inside a warehouse, but that never felt like we like the outdoors. We really, really enjoyed the outdoors, and and that's what we did. So we always liked outdoor spots. I was a huge fan. If you're familiar, if you're a gamer, I was a PC gamer, so not so much a console gamer. All PC, mostly PC. I would say 99% PC. Um, uh, I got the last console I had was an Xbox 360, and that was to play the Star Wars game Force Unleashed because that's when it was coming out. That's what it was coming out for. And then prior to that, it was a Sega Genesis. So everything else was PC gaming. Um, but one game that I really, really loved and I played over and over again was Fear. If you're familiar with it, it's a really great game. I do believe it did come out for consoles as well too. Not I think it came out PC first, then consoles later. But it was just a really great game. Just to be fun. It was a horror game, and but it was the military type horror game. And I always had this vision or this dream, at least, of a paintball environment because in the game, at some points during the game, you're moving through office buildings and then a hospital. And I always thought, man, how cool would it be to uh, have a paintball, facility inside a like an office building, an office space, And at the time, I was working part time at a downtown, a company downtown doing IT. And I was like, man, that'd be so cool. Like just to be able to paintball through here. It would be so awesome. Um, with the lights dimmed out and, like in the game, when lights are flickering and everything, creating that effect, that'd be so cool. But yeah, there was nothing like that around here, at least. Not that I know of. Um, but either way, back in the day, we did reselling and we did eBay back in the day. And one thing I was big in was sports cards and sports memorabilia. And we were never, when I watch a lot of sports cards, all these, I was watching a lot of stuff from the National and all that recently. And everybody's always talking about the investment side of things, how much this card is worth, how much it could be worth, how much, and yeah, we did talk about that stuff, but it wasn't back then. It was more about the collecting of the cards, more about collecting your favorite player, your favorite team. It wasn't so much about the investment aspect of it. Like, I'm going to buy this card now, and then hopefully they perform well during the season, or when everybody's a rookie, right? It's all about potential, and and before they get in, before they start, falling off, basically, before their cards are at their highest point. A lot of the first pick, second pick, third pick, And so that's when you can probably get the most value for it and then sell it off. But a lot of that stuff was around, but it wasn't as big as it is right now. Now I hear like all these kids like from the national talking about, they're spending a lot of money. I'm like, dang, we didn't spend that much money back then. But then again, I think, yeah, maybe it's just that there are more people involved with it, but, maybe there's a lot more limited cards out there. Back then, it wasn't so, like, one of ones, and there weren't really jersey cards, and the autographs were so rare. People had them. 'Em, don't get me wrong, people had them, but it was pretty rare. Everybody was chasing those inserts and everything. And, yeah, there was a lot of people that were involved in the, investment aspect of it, the buying and holding, right? Buy and hold. And a lot of people, they saw all that value just disappear. And, my advice to anybody out there, don't treat collectibles, any collectibles for that matter, as an investment. Collect it for the fun of collecting. You hear me talk about, my Legos and everything. I've shown my Legos on here, and I've talked about some of the prices of these Legos that can go up, but I don't collect them necessarily because they have that, value. I'm not like, oh man, I got to get that one because that's going to be worth that much, and it could be worth this much. Yes, Legos proven have a proven track record of maintaining their value and or exceeding that value. And most of the time, it's just maintaining that value. So if you buy one for $20 in 5, 6, 7 years, you can probably sell it for the exact same price. They some of them do depreciate, but a majority of them, if you keep them brand new in the box, you could sell them right back for that same price and maybe even a little bit more, especially once they retire, depending upon the desirability. But, I really collect not like I don't look at any like I have some of my collection over here. I don't look at any of this collection as dollar signs. Yeah, and what I see a lot of, especially watching on this most recent national coverage, it's like it's all about the dollar signs. It's not so much about the love of the actual collecting, the love of holding that product. And then you have the whole taking that product and put it into the vault and, these different vaults everywhere, and you don't even actually hold the card. You can see a picture of it. That's about it. And so I was watching the Kevin O'Leary thing, and how they purchased that $13 billion. It was a logo, man, which I'm not really too familiar or up to date with all the latest in sports cards and all that. I'm pretty much out of it completely, and I really don't want to go back into it at all. Um, don't get me wrong. I have cards that I still have stored away in my collection that I've liked, that I've wanted, and I've kept, and they're not, leaving my collection as far as I know anytime soon. Frank Thomas, one of my favorite players growing up when I was little, have a bunch of his rookie cards and some other cards that I really liked, like the Fleer. What was it, 91 or 92? The Fleer Rookie Sensations was a card I had always wanted when I was younger, and I never did get my hand on it. And at the time, it was a fairly expensive card, and eventually I did get it through eBay later on in life. There were a lot of cards that I wanted. I did end up, going in there and buying on my own later on and just stashing them in my collection. I'm a huge Shaq fan. I was a huge Shaq fan. I remember when he got drafted, and everybody at school, everybody wanted to be Shaq when he first got drafted. And what I do later on in life, yeah, at the time, those were fairly expensive cards, especially his Stadium Club Bean Team card. And I went up and bought up the rookie cards that I had wanted. So I do have a small collection of baseball cards that I do keep. Baseball, basketball, not so much football. I wasn't really into collecting specific. I did like football, but I wasn't really into collecting specific players or anything like that. More basketball than baseball, and two sports that I did play back in the day. Um, and so that's what I liked. And so I do have some of those in my collection. And I don't ever think of the dollar value amount or grading or anything like that, or Oh yeah, it's a great, it's a Shaq rookie card, but it's a PSA 10, so there's only, you know, 2, 3, or 4, population 10 of this, and it was like, no, I don't think of it at all like that. I think investing, I think, I'm gonna go buy some more shares of maybe Amazon or Apple or something like that. That's what I'm thinking of, when I'm thinking investing and all that. But either way, to circle back, I was thinking, or I was watching the Kevin O'Leary thing. It was on CNBC, and it was about. He said his wife was. He said he's crazy for doing it, and I do think he's a little crazy. It was 13 million for a logo man, Kobe Bryant auto, and Michael Jordan auto. I was like, wow, 13 million. That's in my opinion. Now, the way he was talking about it was more coming at it from an art perspective. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe he's an art collector. I don't really know that much about art. I barely have any art up in my up on my wall. I don't think I can't really even think oh, my wife just put up he's from Haunted Mansion. The characters when you're in the elevator, just put those up. Otherwise, I don't think we really have that much art. I'm not really an art person. Um, but I do believe he has an extensive art collection. And that's a whole different world, whole different realm. And art, I guess, really, really does bring out an emotion, right? Or bring out an emotion or a feeling or something like that. Baseball card, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could. I guess they could. I mean, it is kind of like an art. And he was talking about collecting more or owning more. He wasn't really talking about collecting, more about owning it um, as an investment vehicle, and talking about how, yeah, this card will probably never see the light of day, and it's going to be, involved in some sort of investment, something like that. I'm not really. I did hear about this one company who was trying to kind of buy these high-end cards and offer shares in those cards, which not a good idea in my opinion. Um, but he was coming at it from more of an art perspective, or more of a looking at it as a form of art, and recommending that if you are going to get involved in this, sticking towards the higher end and sticking more towards those rare kind of one-off type pieces where, they'll have a what's the right word? They'll have a timeless appeal to them. So I guess they were looking at from that perspective, and especially the card that they did purchase, which was a Michael Jordan, and like I said, Michael Jordan, which greatest basketball player of all time. Kobe Bryant, second greatest basketball player of all time, autograph, a logo man card, which is logo man cards are pretty cool. I must admit, they are cool cards, and they're autographed on top of that, so that's even better. Um, I guess we're looking at it from that perspective, from more of an art eye, then I can see it. But as far as what I'm seeing out there in the card world, it's um, and when we used to do it, we never thought of investing in it, investing in the holding or anything. It was all about just moving the stuff that that was that was moving, basically trying to sell off what we had to keep getting what we wanted, essentially. What we wanted. We were adding to our own collection, and then wanted to keep it going, right? Wanted to keep the little business that we had going in the buying and reselling space of sports cards and memorabilia, and more sustaining that and buying cool things. And my friends were into 49er stuff, and so they would collect 49ers gear and all that. They would trade up for it and all. So that's a lot of stuff that we did back then, and it is cool. I mean, it's cool to collect things. I know some people, they collect some wild and crazy things. I've met some wild, like I've talked about the wild. When you think, you are a big collector, you run into someone who's like a massive like what they call like billionaires and all that in the investment world. The whales. There are whales in the bourbon space. There's a guy I know who is probably the top one of the top, maybe the top, Star Wars collectors. And if not, maybe one of the top toy collectors in maybe the country, maybe the West Coast. And at first glance, you're like, okay, you have a bit of a collection. And then you see like the storage and like, oh my Lord, boxes and boxes and everything's categorized and it's crazy like he knows exactly where everything's at and everything's fresh like mint in the package and like wow. And you ask him if he's gonna sell anything, he's like no. He's like a true collector, like just collects every when it comes to toys, that is, collects all kinds of toys and vintage, you name it, he's got it. Very few pieces that are not in his collection. It's pretty amazing, an amazing collection. Maybe one of these days I'll do a video from there or something. Perhaps, they don't live too far. They live a bit of a drive, but it's not too far. The bourbon room. Some bourbon collector I know, which is wild. It's not just the room, it's like the whole house. It is amazing, crazy if you're into bourbon. But they do it for the love of the color. They're not thinking of the, obviously they think of the money when they're buying, of course, but they're not thinking of the man, what can I sell? Well, bourbon is a little bit of a tough one. It's a tough one to sell, but they're not looking at something and like, man, what can this be worth? And you know, what can I sell this for? Or I'm gonna buy this and hold it, and in about 5 years I'll be able to flip it, or they're not thinking that way. That's not a collector's mindset, to be thinking that way. And in my opinion, thinking of that way in cards and collectible stuff, it's not really the think of it as an investment type of vehicle. In my opinion, it's not a thing. You shouldn't really. I've seen the ups and downs of all kinds of different spaces, and being able to, if you are involved in that, you better have a good eye at, or a good sense of when you need to sell that off, when the market is taut, and then sell it off. Although I know, plenty of people that they hold it and they go down with it, and they end up losing money on it. It's happened many times, and it takes a very trained person to be able to identify those times when the market's at its peak and you sell, and then what starts going down, and when to buy, and then when it goes back up, when to sell again. So that's enough talking about that. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And a couple of returns before I get into the what sold. I was there's I think it's Bearded Picker I was watching a little while ago. He had mentioned something about how if someone asks too many questions on eBay, they block them. I'm like, wow, it seems pretty extreme. But it's not anything, it comes from experience. And I know the feeling when people ask too many questions. Once buyers, get usually beyond the second question, then there's potentially going to be a problem. They're going to get the item, they're going to question something about it, and there's going to be some issue with it. It might not get there quick enough. They'll get it and they'll be like, oh, I thought it was this. It's really like an off red or an off white. It's not quite beige. It's not quite doing this. It does this, but it doesn't quite do this. I thought it did that. And they'll start nitpicking it. And then, then you run the risk of, getting a return or negative feedback or something like that. But I had two recently, and I believe I mentioned this about the silverware. And they had already purchased silverware. Then all these questions are coming in about silverware and how I should pack it and this and that, and turned into a return. I'm like, And then you go through all this trouble to try to make all these accommodations, only for a return. And I'm like, you went through all this effort and for what? For what? It's probably cost you money because, the return labels and the shipping supplies that went into it. And then I had another one. So it wasn't that okay, I have one. All right, I have one, not a big deal, right? It happens from time to time. But then you have another one like that where, you basically jump through hoops, and I know it's not that crazy. It's not crazy amount of work, right? But they wanted all these rings, and I was like, all right, I'll put together another listing for you really quick, and put together a quick listing, and got it sold. And they were asking all these questions. Can you send more pictures? Can you do this? And oh, okay, I really like that ring. And can you put this together and this? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Right? They're right. They're already like, it's gonna be like close to $60. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'll do it. No problem. But then what happens? Return. They get it and they're like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, yeah, my wife's not really gonna like it, and yeah, you know what? I'm gonna send a return. I'm gonna open up a return." I'm like, great. And then not only that, they open up a return as item not described. I'm like, great. So of course, I'm not happy about it. And I think I mentioned that in the video I made on Saturday. It'll be in a thrifting video. I'll mention it I believe I did mention that in a thrifting video. But yeah, once they start coming in with all these questions, and the phrase or the thing, one person ruins it for everybody. And these people are really ruining it for other people. Because I'm getting to the point where I'm feeling like, one, two questions max. And then once you get beyond that, you're getting blocked. I'm not jumping through hoops right now because I've had two in a row jump through hoops only to get returns on items. So, uh, yeah, I'm really, it's discouraging is what it is. It's discouraging. I don't mind normal returns. If you just want to return it, just return it, right? But the fact that I went through all these hoops and I did all this to try to make the accommodation for these people, um, and one of them I had to refund some shipping. It was, when you do all this stuff only for them to just return it, like, and it's like, no, no. And so right now I'm heavily definitely in the camp of potentially blocking people or just saying no if they want me to make all these accommodations, because people are ruining it. What they're ruining it is what they're doing. Just buy it and, like I've had, this one person, they bought several rings and bracelets, no questions asked. They just bought it. They sent me offers and I accepted them all. And, they paid all the shipping or whatever, and they didn't ask for a refund or anything like that. And they sent it off to them. Piece of cake. Um, it's just, it really, really, it's like, dang, man, you got to help people. You really got to help people out. And they just, they, so it kind of bummed me out for a little bit. And me talking about it is bumming me out. And the fact is, because I don't like seeing open returns on my thing, I like to be able to clear them out as quickly as possible. And just seeing those there and seeing them there, like on my thing to do that, I gotta wait for those items to come back and inspect them and then refund them. The refunding is not the problem, not a big deal. Returns happen. It's just the fact that, like I said, I went through the whole process and now I'm staring at it on my dashboard. I see that there's open returns, which, as a matter of fact, there's always 3 returns on with me every single time. It never fails. It's like perpetually 3 returns all the time. Knocking on wood, so hopefully I don't get more. But it's perpetually always 3 returns I'm always having to deal with. 3 returns. Right when I clear them all, 3 returns, or I clear one, another one comes in to make it 3. It's like, come on. Like, why is it always 3? It's always 3 returns. So it's just the nature of the game. It's something that, don't let me, or, you hear my tone and everything like that. And, don't let it discourage you because there are going to be returns. You're just going to have to deal with it. It just is what it is. I don't mind the returns. The people I prefer are the people that just, no questions asked. They just buy items. That's it. Send me an offer, buy it. That's it. Done. They don't like it or whatever. They open a return, no questions. They don't send me any messages. They open and return, boom, send it back, give them back the money, boom, 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 quickly get it back to me so I can clear it out and send your money back and move on with my life. The people that, ask a billion questions, uh like I take enough pictures. There's enough information for you to make a clear, concise decision. If you have any more questions, I don't know. Don't let it discourage you though. Returns are a part of the business. Do what you want to do. Some people do this where they don't like dealing with too many questions. They'll block them, and you have every right to refuse service to people if you don't want to. But I'm at the point where I may refuse service to more people. We will see in the future. It might be just a case by case basis, Either way. Okay, enough rambling. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get on to these what sold. Wrong mouse. Where's my mouse at? Oh, gotta do that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to show y'all, because we're decorating for Halloween already. Halloween is almost here, which means Christmas is almost here as well too. Thanksgiving. Okay, Thanksgiving. But Halloween and Christmas. And this is a really, really cool nightlight. I picked it up over at Savers. It's from Bath and Body Works. It's actually a nightlight / diffuser. It's a wallflower. And look at that. It's really cool. It's like a little, it's almost like a castle, almost like a graveyard type of entrance there. And it lights up. Look at the pumpkin and the ghost with the little flames there on the side. And it has that really cool projection right there. Found it over at Savers. I sold, found only one of this variant, and then 2 or 3 others I found. I already sold those off already. But this one here was really, really cool. As a matter of fact, there's a bookstore one. They don't have it anymore. And I'm not really like, I'm going to buy it on eBay or anything like that. It is cool. If they had it in stores, I would have got it. But it's a really cool little bookstore scene. But this one, couldn't wait to bring this out. We found it about a month ago now. So we've been waiting to bring it out. We finally brought it out, and check it out. It's a really cool, it's a cool one. I like it. Okay. Wrong mouse. There's so many mice here right now. As a matter of fact, there's 2 mice I got to put away. I only want 3 on my desk right now. So there's 2 mice I got to put away. I always have my gaming mouse over there, which I never really use. So I got to put that away, and I got to put I put my Logitech one away while I use this new one I found, and just keep trying it out and see if I get used to it over time. Okay, let's look at some what sold here. Okay, really cool piece here. Sold for $25. This went in a 6x6x6 box. And what did the shipping cost on this one? I think they were really close, if I remember correctly. Where is my I moved all the icons on my phone around, and I don't know where everything's at. Here we go. Okay. So really, really cool. No branding, no sign or anything like that. Just a really cool, well-made piece of pottery. $25 even is what it sold for. $7.28 is what they paid in shipping. So it did go somewhere close. I know it went somewhere in California. But this is something that where you really got to have a trained eye. This is where experience really comes into play. And to be able to identify that you can sell this item. You can kind of see a customer. Now, to me, it was the grain. First and foremost, it was well made. It was a well-made piece. It had a lid. It wasn't dirty or anything like that. It wasn't stained or anything. No chips or cracks or anything like that. Just a well-made, well-crafted piece here. And the green really got me. Now, green is my favorite color. So I always tend to lean towards green, but, this is just something where I saw it on the shelf. I thought it was really cool, and I knew I can get it sold, and it sold in less than a week. So, nice piece here. Again, this just takes experience. And, if this was brown, if this was all that beige color, I probably would have left it behind. If it was blue, red, they're looking for colors that really, really pop. And if it doesn't, leave it behind. I would not have picked it up. If it didn't have a lid, I wouldn't have picked it up. Um, what else? You know, it has a nice handle on it. Yeah, the handle, damn, handle is handle, right? The fact that it had a lid, it was a creamer, so there's actual purpose for it. It's a tiny little pitcher. It's a little pitcher thing right there. You should probably use it as a cup too. It was really, really cool. The green, the speckle on it as well got me too. And you know, then being able to craft the appropriate listing. Now, I'll say this, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but AI can really, really help you develop titles. It's going to pull from information across the web. I've already talked about, and people are, you know, people have been stealing my words, but I have been putting it out there on the internet. So, I can't really say that they're stealing it. They're just, using it, watching it. I'm not trademarked or anything like that. I really don't care that much, but just know where you heard it first. So if you're going to use AI, if you're going to pick one of the AI listers, you really don't have much control. You just drop your pictures in there and they'll develop it for you. If you don't pay for any of those and you just want to use AI yourself, and you want to create a title, a listing, whatever, for whatever platform you want, you always start it out with create a SEO optimized title and or listing, whatever you wish for whatever platform. If we're just doing eBay, we would go create a SEO optimized eBay title for this item. And SEO means search engine optimized. And that will, hopefully get you a nice, well-crafted title. Double check it because it can get things wrong. It's just like anything, just like anybody. Remember, these things are created by humans. It can still get things wrong, but it'll help you in learning and show you how to craft a great title for an item to help get it sold. So that's the other part too. You got to take great pictures and you got to have the right keywords. So you see right there. Really cool. Wrong mouse. I keep jumping to the wrong mouse. And where else? And I don't see anybody else. I see a lot of clothing resellers. I see a lot of video game resellers. I see a lot of tech resellers. Gaming, dare I say gaming? Maybe I already did. But who is out there selling portfolios? Who's selling organizers? Me. I'm still looking for them, finding them, selling them. Jack George's leather portfolio, vintage. Padfolio is another great keyword there. Made in the USA. Always looking for those leather. Always looking for made in the USA. What it sell for? $25.67. And I already said. I did say what the pottery went. This one in a large padded poly bag. $6.53 is what they paid in shipping. So really, really cool item. All these things sell. I just picked up another Rolodex this past weekend. I picked up, been finding and selling a lot of, what do you call it? Like ledger paperwork, stuff to, keep track of your expenses and things like that. A lot of that's been selling, even though you can do it on your phone. There's plenty of apps to do it. People still like that hard paper, just writing it down. So definitely keep your eye out for these things. They do really well. They fly under the radar. They're usually not priced very high, but yet, you can get $20, $25. Look for leather. If they have a brand name, look out for it. Another great name, but it's not been doing too well is Franklin Covey. It's okay. Filofax is definitely one I haven't found in a while, but I would love to find some Filofax. If you find it, get it. Patricia Nash, which is known for purses. Person also does organizers and things like that. So definitely stuff to keep your eye out for. It does really, really well. Don't pass up that section. This was just a really cool. Now, this came out of the big jewelry buy. We're selling a bunch of jewelry. You list a bunch of jewelry, you start selling a bunch of jewelry. I'm going through motherboards right now. I had to work my way getting over my motherboards. Get motherboards listed. What's selling right now? Motherboards. I just got a bunch of keyboards. Selling a bunch of keyboards now all of a sudden. Got a bunch of mice too. Listing mice. I'm selling a bunch of mice. All this stuff starts selling. Once you start listing it, what happens? It starts selling. But you got to make sure that they're priced right. Got to make sure you have a great title. So I'm definitely doing your research. When it comes to jewelry, it's a little bit tougher because, especially something like this. This is not a brand name or anything like that. It's not. It's a little crystal. Still a crystal pendant. It's really, really cool though, because it has two holes drilled in on each side, and it has a little LED there. So it has it's drilled right here down the middle, and then they have it's a wire. And actually, because this is super zoomed in, but you have to have it on, the wire is very thin. So you might not even see the wire. All you might see is just a little stone right there. And there's a little LED, as you can see, right there in the middle. I took a picture with the LED on. It has a battery little thing in the back. Just takes a little coin battery, tiny coin battery. And it was just really, really cool. Obviously, no name. No, there's no, precious metals, no nothing, so your keywords, you got to get your keywords out there. What it sell for? Nothing crazy. $17 even. $5.60 what they paid in shipping. Small padded poly bag is what it went into. So really, really cool. All the jewelry we didn't get, I knew that most of it was going to be around that $15 range. And sure enough, really cool piece right here. Let me know. I didn't say anything like this before. I've seen LED, like, LED, just like the holiday ones you put around your neck, the big ones, but nothing ever dainty like this piece here. It was just really, really cool. It looked really good in no light. If you turn off all the lights, it really, really glowed, really, really nice. So really cool piece here. And all these $6, $15, $17, these things all add up. All add up. I think I do have one that's close to $100 I wanted to show you just because it's kind of unusual. I think it might be in this video. What did I do already? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're all 4. Yeah, it'll be the last one here. I'll show you. It's a really cool, unusual one. But either way, the book set right here. So, I go through the media and I look at box sets, and sealed. But occasionally, I'll pull box sets, book box sets as well too, because they can do really well, especially fantasy ones do really well. And this is a fantasy. I really have no idea what this is about. Never even heard of it, but it was a book set, the fantasy book set. So I decided to look it up really quick. And sure enough, it had some good value to it. Now, it was a little tricky because some of them looked pretty low, like I shouldn't be picking it up. But this one here sold for lost my place again. There we go. $27.69. They paid $13.28 in shipping. So really, really cool. This should have actually gone media mail, but I guess I didn't click media mail, so I charged them quite a bit. We made a little bit on the shipping. If it's media mail, typically you don't make much money on media mail, maybe a few cents here and there. But the fact that this went ground advantage, we did make a little bit of money on this piece here. Went in on my hat boxes, 975 box. But really cool. So definitely something to keep your eye out for. Belronade? I don't know. Very poor pronunciation, but just something really cool box set to look out for. This was really interesting and a cool piece. It did take a while to sell. It took about 4 months to sell this piece, but it did sell for $97, almost $100, $97.82. $8.19 when they paid in shipping. Standard padded poly bags that this went into. But I wasn't even familiar with this brand when it came out, or I wasn't familiar with this brand at all when I picked it up, I should say. I looked it up. I noticed the large camera thing on it, and I noticed it said 4K on it. So like, I'll look it up, thinking it's just an Amazon special. But no, they go for quite a bit. There were some comps up over $100, like $120. Like I said, it'd take a while to sell. I didn't even take an offer on this. They paid full asking price on it. And really, really cool. Just a webcam. It's just a webcam. That's all it is, the webcam. I think the Logitech Brio goes for like 60 or 70. But that's a Logitech. That has a good name behind it. I am not familiar with this name at all. Never heard this name. The only other one that I know of that goes for quite a bit are some of the what do you call it? I think it Polycom. Is it Polycom? Um, they have sold one, the larger ones, that is, not the little tiny ones. Is it Yeah, Polycom. Polycom webcams, but yeah, the more larger variants, they're actually kind of big. They're pretty big. They're very probably about that long or so. And those ones go for up over $100. There are some smaller ones too, but those don't go for that much. And this one here, I was like, I'm not familiar with it at all, but the comparables, comparables, same thing. Comps is short for comparables. But, so that this should sell for good amount of money, and sure enough, it did. Took a little while, but sure enough, it did. And, so definitely keep your eye out for it. Maybe if you wanna get a fast sale on it, you can, price it a little bit lower. It should fly under the radar because it's not Logitech or anything like that. It's not a major name brand. Just really cool. So I don't know. I've never heard of this name before, but it sells really well. Easy to test, just plug it in your computer and check it out. And it worked. It worked right away. The mic worked and everything. So it's definitely something to check out. And it's very easy to test out too. Is that 5? That's 5. And I think I've done enough talking. We're at an hour. Okay. Okay. That's enough for the video. Either way, I'll save the rest of the, I think I have another 5 already teed up already, so to show off, and I'll save those for Thursday's What Sold video. Either way, let me know what you think of the topics. Let me know what you think. We talked about the bourbon, the collecting, the what sold, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.